Hi everyone. So we are coming out with another new video after a gap of a couple of months. So it has been a long time since we have come out with another content over YouTube channel. So let me begin this video by introducing myself for especially the viewers who might be watching our video for the first time. This is Ashnat Kothari here. I'm a qualified investment actuary. I have been teaching actuarial science professionally for the last 7.5 years. Along with that, I have close to 6 years of work experience in actuarial domain as well, which involves 2 years in property and casualty and the remaining 4 years in investment modeling as well as investment advisory. With me, we have Gunjan as well. So there are two of us in Finatics who train students in the various different papers as well as providing them relevant guidance with respect to their actuarial career. So Gunjan is also a qualified associate actuary. She has cleared around 14 papers, is left with just one paper, and hopefully she'll be done with that in this sitting as well. So this is a brief introduction regarding me as well as my colleague at Fanatics. So before we start with the solution discussion, let me first give you all updates regarding the new batches for the IEI Me 2024 session as well as IFoA April 2024 session. We would be starting with our new batches on 8th of October 2023 itself. So, classes are available in live offline mode in Calcutta, live online mode, as well as pre-recorded lectures. So, location is not at all a barrier. In whichever part of the country or world you are, if you want to learn, you can definitely enroll with us and, use our educational content. We have students from almost all the states in India, as well as we have actual learners from 30 different countries around the world. So this was with respect to the batches. Keep in mind, all of you have access to live online, live offline, as well as pre-recorded content. There are no additional charges for getting access to the different mode. Another important update was, something probably which will make a lot of you happy, especially ones who are based out of Calcutta. In the last session, many of you had requested, if you can come to the center and, you can study there separately since you all find it difficult to study, let's say in your college or at your PG, because the environment does not allow it. So starting from this session, our center would remain open where students can come, stay there, study there, interact with other peers who are preparing for the same papers. I hope this is something which will genuinely help you all a lot in your preparation as you would be in more direct touch with your peers who are, preparing for the same paper and you can leverage out of their knowledge as well. So this was one important update which I had to share with you all. As for the frequency of our classes for the next batch, given the festivities in the month of October and November, as well as many colleges having their semester and examinations in the month of November, frequency would be usually 1 to 2 classes per week in the month of October and November on average. Starting from December, the frequency will shoot up for let's say 4 to 6 classes a week, and that is gonna stay till January. Again, this might vary paper to paper, but for the core CM and CS papers, this is how it's gonna be there. That's what we have planned currently. This would also allow the students who are appearing from IEI who have their examinations in the month of November, that when they come back in the last week of November and December, they would not have missed a lot of content in the live classes, which earlier they were doing so. So this is gonna be a win-win situation for all of them. You all can enjoy your festivities because the pressure in our classes will not that be high in October and November, as well as those who are appearing from II. Once you come back in last week of November and December, you would not have missed much content, and you can be at par, study with your peers, be at the same pace, and let's say by the end of December you should be at par with your IFoA peers as well. So this was with respect to the frequency of classes. We firmly believe in starting as soon as possible and completing the syllabus well ahead in time. So we do intend to complete the syllabus latest by February end, and we are targeting to complete, let's say, by mid-Feb, so that ones who are appearing from IFoA have at least around 6 to 8 weeks to revise, appear for past your papers under exam conditions, mark yourself, analyze your mistakes, and work towards it. And ones who are gonna appear from II, you're gonna have around, let's say, 10 to 12 weeks for same. Since we firmly believe that starting early and staying regular is extremely important from preparation point of view, and we want to provide more incentive to our students to follow this methodology. It has worked for me very well. It has worked for a lot of our students pretty much well, especially ones who have got caught up in difficult circumstances due to academics, personal events, or so on, they have realized if they start early, they have a lot of buffer time. And this helps them to go ahead with their original plan to sit for whatever papers they have determined, instead of having to change the plans because of certain other health issues, personal issues, certain other events coming up. So to further incentivize our students to start preparing early, we are coming up with early bird offers. So whoever is enrolling with us before 30th September 2023, we are gonna offer certain flat reduction in your fees. Do keep in mind we have a single live batch only for each paper, each session, and admissions are solely on first come, first serve basis. So these early bird offers will also be available on a first come, first serve basis. It could be that you're enrolling before 30th September, let's say 29th, 30th September, but if you have already filled our batches, in that case, it would not be eligible. Keep in mind DTH classes or recorded lectures, there is no limit on that. Any one of you can join at any stage of time, but ones who want to experience the full services we provide, especially the live classes, doubt clearing, we would strongly suggest for you all to join as early as possible. And we hope that you do join us as soon as you would, as soon as you can, and you have a meaningful, impactful, and wonderful learning experience with us. Also keep in mind that some of you always have this in mind, just now we have given the exams, why start so early, let's wait for a couple of weeks or for the results. So once we have appeared for, let's say, CM1 paper, which was the first set of exams, your results will be out around 12 weeks. It does not make sense to me to absolutely waste those 12 weeks, do nothing. Instead of that, what you should do is start your preparation immediately. And then obviously, later on, basis the results of preparation, you can take a call on, which papers you want to give. We have had students who are preparing and clearing 3 to 4 exams in a single term. Some of these are working as well. And remember, when you're working, it becomes extremely challenged. When you're at college, you have more liberty of time, you can continue with the way you want to prepare. So I don't see any harm in you all starting early. Obviously, breaks are needed in life. It's not about just clearing exams. But if you are into actuarial, you want to make a career out of it, you want to really stand out and be among the best. Starting early is does not have any issues. Obviously, you wanna have to put effort, and there is a trade-off whether you just want to enjoy, do nothing qualitative with respect to your actual thing. So that's a trade-off you'll obviously have to make. Other than that, I don't see any harm. It's better that you get done with your exams as quickly as you can. Obviously, not neglecting other things, but just keeping all other factors constant. You just preparing for one paper for last 2 3 months instead of preparing for multiple papers using full 6 months. It's really gonna help you in the larger scheme of things as well as in the long term. In my case, also, I used to start immediately post giving my exams. Obviously, I enjoyed a lot in preparing for actual exams. I realize some of you might not enjoy that much, so you would want to start a bit late, which is fine, but you should not wait for the results to come because that is absolutely wastage of time. April session is a longer one. Do utilize it to the fullest. I mean, most of you, especially ones who are not working, can easily prepare for 2 papers, if not 2 full papers. Let's say one paper from CM and CS, one paper from CV. Exam format is also scheduled to get changed from the April term. Again, clarity on that would come from IFoA in the month of November. So definitely use this time. In the long term, you're really gonna thank yourself that yes, you took the effort, you did study for multiple subjects. Obviously, it's gonna take more of your time right now, but it's something which is gonna reward you a lot in the long term. So preparation, I feel, never goes for waste. Even if you do not clear the paper, you do not complete your journey of clearing all actual exams, you stop it midway, your preparation never goes for waste. And if you start early, you cannot, you can devote time to understand what things are, not just study for the sake of it to clear exams. I understand that is one objective, very important objective. But the larger thing is you understand the concepts very well, you're very strong conceptually, and you have the ability to apply it in real life as well, not just in academia, but in several day-to-day decision makings, be it your investments, be it your business and all. I do feel that, whatever things we study, there's always a place where we could apply it, certain traditional ways, certain non-traditional ways. So if you're starting early, you have the time to explore that. If you start late, if you're not studying regularly, I mean, after a point of time, you would be just focused on, studying, practicing questions with the purpose of clearing exams, which is fine. But again, there is something better, on which we can do. So yes, that's the suggestion from my side. Do start early and stay regular, and Very simple thing, but extremely productive when it comes to giving the much desired output in the form of academic success. Let's get started with the discussion of CM2 Paper A from IFoA for September 2023 session. So overall, first of all, with respect to difficulty of paper A, it was a fair paper. I will not say it to be very difficult or very easy. But yes, one thing about this paper was that this would have distinguished between students who have prepared decently for it and the well prepared ones. The ones who are very much well prepared, who have practiced ample number of questions, they found this paper relatively easier and they ended up attempting on a large proportion of the number of questions. CM2 paper we also bases the inputs we have received so far from our students as well as others who have sat for the exam. It seemed to be on a relatively easier side. Looking at the past history of the passing marks of CM2 and basis the difficulty level of this paper which we perceive, we feel that the pass marks should be somewhere in the range of, let's say 60 plus minus 2. So maybe anywhere between 58 to 62 is what we anticipate. So let's get started. Also keep in mind, in case you find any sort of calculation errors or anything else which you feel is not correct, do let us know through the comments section. We would obviously take a look at same, and in case we find merit in the argument, we would be pushing in the correct calculations or the correct solutions through the comments section. So at the time of watching the video, do make sure that you are taking a look at the comments section. In case there is any rectification, we would be pinning the comment so that you can easily uh, refer to that and see whether the solution which we are discussing right now stands corrected or not. And yeah, obviously, please do like this video in case you find it useful, and subscribe to our channel so that you are updated with all the latest content related to actuarial and other educational content surrounding it. You are updated whenever we release that over our YouTube channel. So now let's get started. First question, this is from EMH. State with reasons whether each of the following scenarios are examples of evidence for or against the EMH. Now, one thing which they have not mentioned is whether we need to test for weak form, strong form, or semi-strong form. But most of the examples which they have given will either be, for or against for all the forms itself. So one party, a stock price is still moving in response to a public earnings announcement was made 3 years ago. This is against TMH because ideally, whenever a new information comes, the market should react to it immediately. This is not happening. Part B, the performance of an actively managed index fund is the same as a passive fund tracking the same index. This is something which I feel should be for efficient market hypothesis itself because if we assume, let's say, the strong form as well, insiders cannot make excess risk adjusted returns even using privately held information. So ones were actively managed funds, they could either be using technical skills, fundamental skills, or insider information, whatever might be the case, to have a higher risk adjusted returns. But that is not happening. So this is just something which is for the evidence of EMH being held in a particular market. See, the volatility of a share is greater than implied by a discounted cash flow model. This is something which is relatively straightforward. It's something which is covered directly in the material as well, that when you would have read about Shiller's volatility test and so on. So this is in clear violation, or it provides evidence against TMH. Part D is something a bit tricky. Two equity analysts at different firms have determined target prices for the stock of a specific company, and the target prices are different. Both have access to same information. So in my understanding, one way to look at it is, I mean, obviously, even though different individuals have access to exactly same information, they might use different methodologies, different computational tools to come up with different target price altogether. And this is something which does not seem in violation of EMS as per se. So I would say at the moment it seems to me that yeah, this is not something which purely looks in evidence against EMH, but again there are other reasons as well. So keep in mind, if the examiner finds a reasoning appropriate, whether it's for or against, you should be duly get mark. You should duly get the full marks for same. Part two and three, I'm not getting. It's kind of a relative bookwork only. So question one, most of the students did manage to attempt. The ones I've interacted with so far. Moving forward to question two, this was 9 free marks, absolutely scoring. I hope most of you haven't got, or any one of you haven't got this wrong. This was clearly This is something you would have solved in less than, let's say 10 minutes. You're scoring 9 marks, free marks, absolutely, I would say. So this is the solution which we have over here. B and C is first order stochastically dominating D. Then A is for second order stochastically dominating B, C, and D. And B and C individually are also dominating D. Most of them have got this question right. Next, question 3, again a fairly straightforward one. Let me quickly take you all through the solution for same. ST is following log normal 0.09t with variance 0.04t. S naught is given to be 1. So we have been given this particular values. Note that ideally I should have divided by A S5 divided by S naught for completeness and for technicality, but given it's S naught is 1, I have just given a brief solution. More technically, you should be dividing S5 by S naught. So I'm getting A as 139,353, part 2A. I'm getting the 95% VAR as 74845 rounded to the nearest dollar. And the last part you need to see, you might think, this is finding expected shortfall, so something like tail VR, but no, that is not the case. The question clearly states expected shortfall or surplus. So it's not conditional on a shortfall being there. We could have a surplus as well. So this is nothing but just finding the expected value of the portfolio minus the benchmark, which is 1,50,000 over here. So some of them, when I was going through the scripts, part two, they did, make mistake. Part 3 is something which is based on comments. I'm not getting into that. Question number 4, again, this was something, at least the first part, most of the questions did answer well. In the later parts, some of them, tend to skip comments based question. So let me take you all through the numerical part quickly. This is my loss 25,000 x by n, where x follows binomial n comma 0.01. When I try to find its expectation LP, it will be coming out independent of n. It's coming out to be 25,000 P, which is 250. So this remains the case in all cases, whatever be the value of n. Then this is the variance. This comes out with the standard deviation, putting the different values of n. These are the values which I'm getting. Part 2 is, what insurance was it? What insurance concept is demonstrated. So either, I mean, it's insurance concept. So the term which I would want to use is diversification. As we write more and more risks, my overall volatility should decrease. I should achieve some benefits of diversification, and this gets reflected in the form of a lower standard deviation. And that is clearly what is happening over here. Then it's stated that the premium being charged is 260. Part 3 is discussed with reference to your answer in part 1, whether individuals are likely to buy this policy or not. So the expected loss is 250, assuming the investors to be risk averse. I mean, obviously they will be willing to pay a premium amount which is excess of the, the expected loss itself. So yeah, they should be in a position, but again, then it depends on the type of the utility function, whether at 260 premium, the resultant utility they get is higher than, they're not taking out the policy and taking on the risk themselves. And insurers, would also be likely to offer it given that, in case that the expected loss is 250, they are being able to charge 260. So on the face of it, yes, they are they should be expected to make profit. Again, the insurers would want to sell as many policies as possible so as to reduce the variability. In case they're selling just 1 or 20 policies, then they might not be able to achieve the true benefits of diversification, because in such a small case, even in let's say one or two of them, even let's say you need to pay out claim in 1 or 2 policies, it ends up in loss. But if you're selling a lot number of policies, so in that case, even few extreme events will not result in the insurance company making a loss. Next is question number 5, which is kind of bookwork, I will say, coming from term structure of interest rates. Skipping this is fairly straightforward. Most of the students did tend to score pretty well. Not score exactly, but I will say they have put down their points pretty well over here. Question number 6, part 1 is bookwork. I'm not discussing that. Coming to part 2, which is market price of risk. So this is part 6. I am first computing the market returns. So the market capitalization has been given. So the ratio is 1 by 5, 2 by 5, and 2 by 5 for property, equity, and bond respectively. So it's coming out to be 1.44 and 8.4 with these probabilities. Expectation is coming out to be 5.06%. Expectation RM square is coming out to be 30.964. So variance M is coming out to be 5.3604. And the market price of risk which I'm getting is 1.321670. Note that for most of the cases, I've tried to use at least 6 decimal places. In case you want to use the exact one, feel free to do so. Even, full marks are awarded in case you use 3 or 4 decimal places. But as a best practice, I always advise to use at least 6 decimal places for your intermediate calculations. Now, for part three, which again most of them tended to skip, whether we can get a more efficient portfolio or not. So we have the market price of risk, we have the volatility as well. So you can either think in this way, either you can start with sigma A. For this particular level of risk, we should be able to find the expected return which we should be getting. We can directly use the formula for market price of risk. So using that, we'll see that we should be getting a return in higher of 6%. Clearly, this portfolio PA does not offer that. So definitely a more efficient portfolio does exist. Alternatively, for this level of return 6%, my underlying standard deviation should come out if I'm using the formula for market price of risk to be less than, let's say, 3.15%. That is like one way to look at it. That is something again which is not the case. Um, so this is one way. There are different ways to approach this particular question as well, depending whether you want to use capital market line, you want to use some other analogy. Moving forward, question 7. I don't know anyone who has attempted this. This was honestly the most difficult question of this entire paper. Uh, I don't know anyone. It's something which you might not find directly available in material, or at least not even in the past year questions. But again, the ones who are, let's say, pursuing course like CFFR, and more specifically, if they are open to look at various other resources, various research papers published by, writers in the field of finance, derivatives, and all. And even if you kind of Google it out, you'll easily get these type of questions. So for completeness, not explaining this, uh, it will take some time. But yeah, this is the way I've gone about solving it. Note that I have solved part 1 and 2 simultaneously. Initially, they've asked to show martingale. I have calculated mean and variance first, and then I've showed it to the martingale. So these are the steps. We clearly see that 80 is not a martingale over here. So again, this was a difficult question, but again, out of 100 marks, 8 marks difficult, it's fine. I mean, even if you're attempting 80, 90 marks in a highly efficient manner where your accuracy is more than 80% or so, I mean, that is something which is pretty good and you stand a pretty good chance of at least clearing the exam. For ones who are looking to score very high marks, who feel they are very well prepared, again, even if you're not able to attempt this question, it's fine. Like always keep in mind that there could be 10% of the marks of the entire paper where the question could be very difficult depending on how much time you have available. You could have checked. Even if you try to Google this question, you would have got it. That is my understanding. You would have probably got this either in Investopedia, or there are several other specific sites wherein these finance related things are covered there. So you should be probably getting it over Google as well. ChatGPT is something which is not allowed in the exams, else that might have also given the answer. I have not tried using this on ChatGPT. And again, IFoA does not permit it. So, but yeah, Google is something they do allow. So that is something which you could have leveraged. Again, all of this entails that you will remain with a calm head. You first attempt the questions which you know. And obviously, then if you have time, Google it out and you might have got the answer. And they have given the hint as well. And this is something which I have used, this particular hint. Question 8, again, fairly straightforward. Part 1, not doing part 1 and 2. These are fairly straightforward and bookwork. Part 3, again, is also pretty much simple, 4 marks. Whenever they ask you to show that, proof that, life becomes easier because you know the end point. You just need to know the starting point, and then in between, there will be certain manipulations which well prepared students would be in a position to tackle very easily. So this is the formula. Lambda MXR is lambda plus CR. I mean, claims can either be of amount 1 or 0. So this comes out to be my MGF. Premiums are calculating using 1 plus theta into lambda M1. M1 here is nothing but P. When I substitute over this, simplifying this, and given that P is not equal to 0, here is what we are getting. Then I can expand e to the power r as 1 plus r square by 2, and then there will be terms of r cube by 3 factorial, so on. The question is clearly stating to ignore the higher powers, so we can approximate e to the power r by these three terms. Once you substitute, you solve it, and again using the fact that r is not equal to 0, r comes out to be approximately 2 theta. Question number 9, again, this was question which was poorly attempted by most of the students. One of the students, I saw him attending, and I was very, very happy to see that he was able to, solve this question. I was pleasantly surprised because again, When I looked at this question, I just thought something weird is happening, some data is missing. And the fact is, yes, they have not given the current value of the stock index. You need to start with its value, let's say S naught or whatever some other value 110, and you need to calculate accordingly. So after, I will say, I don't remember when was the last time where I had seen one of my students being able to attempt such a question and get it completely right. So I was pretty happy to see one of the scripts of my student. He had got this pretty much right. So over here, what we're saying is that you're gonna get maximum 50% returns, minimum 10% returns. So this you can think that you have an underlying asset. You sell a call option with having a strike price which is more than the 50% of the current share price, so that whatever gains you're getting above 50%, you basically give away that. And because the returns are guaranteed to be at least 10%, you can achieve this by buying a put option having a strike price which is 1.1 times the current price, which ensures you're getting at least 10%. So this is basically my portfolio, which will replicate the returns of the investment product given in the question. One underlying stock index, one put option with strike price of 1.1 S naught, and we short one call option with strike price of 1.5 S naught. So we need to just find the value of this put and call. Again, these would be in terms of S naught, the current share price, gone through the workings, and I was getting the value, finally, the value of portfolio or that investment product to be 1.021980 S naught. Alternatively, if you would have taken S naught to be some value like 1000, 5,000, anything, I mean, that should also be duly avoided. This is a more general form, covers all the scenario. Part two, like why this might not be relevant. So we assume volatility to be constant when we are applying Black-Scholes model, but in reality, that is not the case. Volatility seldom, tends to be constant. It keeps on varying between different time periods at different points of time, depending on market conditions, economic conditions, and so on. Question number 10, this is again a question which has kind of come in the previous year, almost similar. Obviously, the numerical values have been changed, but the structure entirely remains the same. So again, once you have prepared well, and when I say prepared well, you have solved the questions, you tend to have some sort of remembrance, you have solved this type of question. So you could have referred to the past paper revision notes as well during examination time to know how to tackle it. So for reference, I guess this was October 2010. I might have noted it down. Let me just check. Yeah, this is from CT8 October 2010 term, question 5 of that particular question paper. The values were different, but everything else was pretty much the same. So here's a quick look of same 95.05 is the value I'm getting. And then the hedging portfolio I'm getting is minus 21 point, this is 123,196 units of underlying asset or share, and plus 95.05 units of cash. Next question number 11, which is coming from Rune theory. Part 1, surplus process. Part 2, probability of not getting a claim or getting a claim after 1 day. This is part 3, A and B, wherein we are getting the expected value of the expected amount of money or the expected surplus which they have. Okay, sorry, this one was ignore the earlier one. I have just kind of modified it over here. So over here you get 54.31, 101.72. In part 4, we are looking, you need to apply continuity correction as well. And you see the final answer I'm getting is around about 0.00079. And the final part of it was, how does the changing this mortality affect? So probability of ruin in the next year will increase because of increasing the mortality rate. So claims will tend to come a bit more faster. So, this would increase. As for ultimate probability of ruin, I don't think so. This should materially change because in the end, everyone needs to die. Just that when you increase the mortality rates, they are going to die a bit more quicker. That is one way to look at it. So your ultimate probability of ruin, you could think it remains unchanged that way because it's nothing with the pace at which, let's say the mortality rate is there. That is one way to look at it. So this was there with respect to overall paper. I hope that again you all find this video helpful. In case of any queries, anything wrong which you might feel, do feel free to ask to the comments section. Thank you.